Hello, everybody. I am yet again Price McKinney. Simply put, and as always, I want to thank you for tuning in and listening. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, simply put by Price McKinney. YouTube on Tuesdays, simply put podcast with your boy Price McKinney. So we're gonna dive right into this head first. This is gonna be a little bit different, I guess you could say, than what I normally do. Because this particular video is it's a quote from a really good friend of mine. He's beyond a friend. He's a brother, and but I don't name drop. But he has been a very significant influence in terms of why I'm actually doing this video and how what he has said in one statement has, in a real sense, transformed who I've now become. And that statement is this, and I'm going to explain it. So just bear with me. Stay in the like is the statement. That's why I've got it in quotations because it's actually something that I was told. So, in tracking back, when I first heard this was 2018 ish, 19 ish, somewhere around in there. And when he first told me, my first thought was just keep liking whoever you with. That was just my shallow thinking, I guess you could say, just being honest. Which was a no brainer because of if I pick the person, I like them, you know. However, I did not understand the fullness of that statement. And so fast forward to now, what does stand alike mean? And I'm gonna explain it as best as I can simply. It's a space that you create or carve out for yourself whereby you set standards and boundaries that almost force you to make yourself a priority and put yourself first in front of everything you do, in front of who you're dealing with. For those of you who say, well, that's selfish. No, it's not selfish. It's very healthy if you work it the right way. It's no different than being on a plane. When you're on a plane, what is the thing that they tell you? And I've not flown a lot, but I do know this. Put your mask on first before you help somebody else. Because, you know, if you can't breathe and you don't have oxygen and you run out of breath, you can't give nobody else any. So it's the same concept. So it's making sure that you're in position and in place and you carve out or create a space for yourself whereby you constantly and continually ask yourself, well, how does this benefit me backslash hashtag us? Because if I'm helping me first, I am helping us. So, no, it's not selfish. It's actually very helpful and healthy. So, in conversation over the course of time, thinking about it, I had it for whatever reason heavy on my brain this weekend, and I kept asking myself if I had to define what the stand alike mean, how would I do it? And that's why I just explained it the way that I did. And here's what I love about it. I can actually look back from the time he told me that to now. We just had a conversation about it. And I can identify specific episodes or things that happen where I can actually see how and in what areas that I've actually grown. And one of those is, and I'm just bear with me when I say this. So, moment of transparency. I historically have dove into every every relationship that I've been in head first. If I like you, that quickly turns into a type of love, right? So, because of that, I put everything about them first. I did everything for them first. It was easy, second nature for me to sacrifice and compromise. Okay. Just being honest, flat footed honest. I had no problem, issue whatsoever making my person or that person a or my priority. And I put me on the back burner. And I lived that way for years. Okay. Only to discover, and I'm not saying, please hear me clearly. I'm not saying be selfish, don't do anything for people, don't do anything for your person, gut folk. I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying is I had to do things differently because the outcome of that was not working. The outcome has been consistent. And that is I do all of what I do. And I'm not by no means saying I'm perfect. Let's not get that twisted. That's why I'm still working on me. Um, but the things that I was doing um, for my people over the course of time, I'm not in any of those relationships anymore. And I went through a phase where I was bitter, angry. I'm like, bump everything, bump everybody. That's not right, folks. That ain't how that works. Um, so I had to grow past that and get past that and figure out, okay, what am I doing? What do I need to do different in order for my outcome to be different? Because in order for you to get different, you got to do different. There's no way around that. As simple as that sounds, it's sometimes difficult to do if it's not something that you're used to doing. So I had to back up and punt, and I've done a lot of evaluating myself and a lot of self assessment, I guess you could say. And what I stopped doing was going into relationships head first, or just because I like them this much versus this much, I automatically make them my person subconsciously. Okay. So I had to get to the point where I stopped doing that because what I was doing was, and I shared this with him recently, your heart, figuratively, literally, but yet I'm speaking figuratively. Your heart has four chambers, right? I was running three of those chambers wide slap open to the other person, and I only had one chamber coming back to me. So it wasn't so much that I've cut people off or anything like that. I just changed how I do things and do things differently. Well, what is the change? What is the difference? Instead of running three chambers to somebody else, I run those three chambers right back to me. And if I get somebody on the front end, I will run that one chamber wide slap open. Okay. But the other three are coming back to your boy. And that's the difference. That is the difference that I've seen in myself. Whereas, so instead of investing and doing all of what I was doing for, the people I was with, I turned those investments and turned them back into me. So how have I benefited from it? Because I'm now finally seeing the fruits of my own labor. So if there were things, there are things that I've, and not major, no major purchases, just simple stuff, things that I wanted to buy, things that I wanted to get, building my brand, because ultimately I want to get to the point where when you see me, you see Simply Put, and you won't be able to distinguish the difference. Price is Simply Put is price, right? So I'm building my brand behind the scenes. And so instead of, focusing on what relationship that I was in, I'm focusing, taking that, I'm taking that same energy and putting that back into myself. So for those of you that are single, I strongly encourage you to focus on you. And it doesn't mean that you're selfish. It doesn't mean that you've cut everybody else off. I've got two sons that I love. They're my wife. It is what it is. They're my boys. And so it's not a matter of cutting people off or not doing this and not doing that. You can still be a giver because that's what I am. It's natural. second nature. But I give to myself first. For the first time in my life, I give to myself first. So stay in the like is a statement that now live by. It's simple, but it's a tree with a lot of branches, and it's something that I literally had to evolve into to come to an understanding of. And again, when he first told me that, I was like, well, that just keep liking the person. Every time he said it, just I'm thinking in my head, just keep liking the person that you're with. Keep liking the person that you're with. No, it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with you liking yourself and who. Look at where you are. Look at what it is and who it is you want to become, and put the work in. You might be lonely for a while. You might be alone for a minute. That is totally okay. Well, what about the people in relationships? Guess what? It works for those who are in relationships too. Because again, if you can't help you, if you're not in position and you're not in the right place, you can't help anybody else. Even though your person is just one person, if you're not doing or being who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing, you ain't gonna be able to help your person. So it is vital and it is important for you to be who you are supposed to be. Well, what if I don't know who I am? You play and figure it out. And it's not, well, how do I figure that out? Simple. Whatever you love doing, you're not getting paid to do it. You could potentially get paid to do it and not get paid to do it, potentially get paid to do it, and you still love it just the same, whether you're paid or unpaid. That's what you're supposed to be doing. It's not rocket science. You can read books on it. You can read articles. You can watch videos, all the above. But it's literally that simple. It is literally that simple. So again, this is Price McKinney. He simply put my pizzas here. I want to thank you for listening. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Uh, Simply Put Podcasts on Tuesdays with your boy Price McKinney. I'm not an expert. I just know what I know. And I'll thank you for listening. And I promise you, I'll see you soon.